The 2 crew members on board managed to eject and were rescued. One of our reporters saw the aftermath firsthand while covering another story. And with that part of the saga and more, let's go to my co-anchor, Wale Aliyu. Wale.
Kimberly, the Navy will come out to retrieve the debris. The jet was supposed to land at Naval Air Station North Island before it plunged into these waters behind me. But a little closer to the other end of Shelter Island, ABC 10 News reporter Perla Shaheen happened to be right there when the crash happened. She describes what she saw and heard.
We didn't understand what we were seeing. It took a second to process. I mean, we were sitting in this parking lot just a few hundred yards from the harbor when we saw that U.S. Navy fighter jet nosedive into these waters, creating a booming noise and an eruption of water. This video shows a U.S. Navy fighter jet dropping from the sky. The jet nosediving into the harbor off the southern shores of Shelter Island around 10 a.m. on Wednesday.
I was terrified. That was scary. Like, my heart was racing because I thought something even worse was going to happen.
Witnesses were shaken up, including my photographer and I. We just happened to be sitting nearby reporting on a different story. We watched in shock as the plane hit the harbor. The impact made a loud, booming noise and shot a wall of water into the air.
It was loud. It was like a flyby. Like, they were it sounded like they were very low, because it was just so noisy.
I just saw all the water shoot up and then birds shot up too.
At that moment, it was a race to find the pilots on board.
2 pilots eject from the jet near Point Loma.
Dispatchers worked fast, tracking the path of their parachutes into the water.
Shift commanders requesting a dive team response.
The Navy later confirmed the pilots were trying to land the fighter jet when they ejected from the plane, leaving it to crash into the bay. They landed in the water, and within the next minute, a nearby fishing boat rescued them. Harbor police helped bring them to shore.
We assisted those good Samaritans getting to our police docks right over here, brought them up to our parking lot.
An ambulance took them to a nearby hospital. Coast Guard says the pilots are in stable condition, but we do not know the extent of their injuries. Tonight, we're waiting on the U.S. Navy to confirm what caused this crash. So far, they've put up an orange barrier around the perimeter of the crash site to prevent that jet fuel from spreading into the ocean. And the Navy is asking any boaters to avoid this area near the Shelter Island base while they search for debris. At Shelter Island, Perla Shaheen, ABC 10 News.
Perla, thank you for that first-hand account. Earlier today, I spoke with a retired Air Force pilot who also used to investigate aircraft crashes like the one we saw today. We've seen a few plane or aircraft crashes over the last few weeks, a couple even military aircraft. Obviously, no correlation, but is there anything that needs to be done when it comes to training these pilots that needs to be tightened up a little bit?
Well, again, that's something they'll look at. Each individual accident investigation looks at the training. If they find a correlation, they'll certainly make that correlation. But at this point in time, I don't see anything that ties anything that's happened in the recent times with this particular accident.
They were able to get to the pilots pretty quickly, but you have windy, rainy, cold conditions. Talk to us about that challenge.
Well, very common in the winter months to fly what we call with what we call an anti-exposure suit, which is basically a dry suit with insulation on it, so that if you do happen to wind up in the water, you don't freeze to death right away. But again, happening right here, there's a fishing boat right there that picked them up out of the water. I've heard that happen so many times. Even if that doesn't happen, each pilot has an individual life raft, not just a life preserver, but a raft they can get into, and they can survive in that raft. One guy I know of survived for a week.
He tells me the initial report for crashes like these are normally due within 2 months, and the final report should be available after about 1 year. Now, last check tonight, the jet debris has not been fully cleared. The cause remains under investigation. Kimberly, back to you in the studio.
Yeah, truly miraculous that no one was killed today, and we will follow through with the investigation to come. Wale Aliyu, thank you for the live updates from there.